Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Jerry Tope. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
Today's news is live here Monday at noon, rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8, and rerun on Sunday at noon, 2:30 and 8. Today's December the 7th, 2016, and here now is the news. The Durango Herald reported a proposed 194-unit apartment complex near Walmart cleared a hurdle Tuesday. The Durango City Council unanimously approved an early plan for the complex. Northeast Development is proposing 7 buildings, a clubhouse, outdoor pool, small business center, bus stop, and dog park in a development along an extension of Escalante Drive between Walmart and Home Depot. The developer anticipates 128 one-bedroom units and 66 two-bedroom units. The council must still annex the property before the project can move forward, and the annexation depends on plans for the extension of Escalante Drive. If all goes well, annexation could happen by January. Planner Mark Williams said this would allow for construction to start next year. And this area of town is an obvious location for development to spread. The council was asked to approve parking and height variances. The project would normally require 408 parking spaces. The development plans to provide 392, including driveway parking spaces, but it was still 16 spaces short of city council requirements. But by granting the variance, the city will help ensure that the developer will provide bicycle parking and a bus stop. A parking study of the Lumion and Confluence apartments showed their parking lots on average were only about half full. The developer provided this as evidence for a variance. Councilor Sweetie Marbury questioned why more parking could not be added, but Councilor Dean Brookie supported the parking and height variance. The height variance allows building up to 47 feet high, up from the limit of 39 feet. If final approval is granted, construction could start in the spring of 2017. Construction is expected to take 20 months, according to city documents. The developer, Northeast Development, might build the extension of Escalante Drive with the adjacent property owners chipping in their share. But if the company opts not to build the extension, the property owners could form a public improvement district and vote to tax themselves to pay for it. The construction of the road will improve traffic flow in the area as well, City Engineer Greg Boyson said. The project faced strong opposition from the neighborhood when it was approved by Durango Planning Commission. However, this time there was just one resident expressing disapproval.
According to the Cortez Journal, an unusually high number of Cortez residents received notices for overdue water bills in November, after the city switched to new billing software. In August, the city's water department switched to a new online software called Cassell to manage residents' accounts and payments. But within the same month, the server that supports the software crashed, causing the department to lose all their records, including records of who had paid their bills on time and who hadn't. The utility department did not send notices or disconnect residents' water in September or October while they worked to fix the problem. But when the system started working again in November, about 150 residents received late payment notices. Although it's rare for so many people to be late on their payments in 1 month, City Finance Director Kathy Moss said that as far as she knows, none of the notices were sent out in error and no one's water has been shut off because of the software problem. Her department has not received any complaints to that effect, at least. But the software glitch did slow down the water department considerably. Moss said it took the city the past 3 months to completely recreate their electronic files after the server crash. Accounts payable, customer records, we lost everything, she said. The city installed the new software in part because it wanted to improve its billing service. For the first time, the software allows the utility department to send automated phone calls to remind residents about overdue bills. The phone call warning, which was sent out for the first time in November, comes after customers' first late payment warning, which appears on their monthly bill if they haven't paid 10 days after their due date. After the phone call, late customers get tagged with a final warning posted on their front door. Customers who ignore all the warnings lose their water service. In a typical month, about 15 to 20 Cortez residents get tagged or have their water disconnected because of overdue payments. Moss said she hopes the glitch in the billing software won't cause that number to go up this month.
From the Cortez Journal, effective suicide prevention is up to each community. So said therapists and counselors during a packed mental health forum Monday at Dolores schools. Colorado has the 7th highest number of suicides in the U.S., said Dolores Schools counselor Karen Finch. In 2014, there were 1,058 suicides in the state, according to the Office of Suicide Prevention, and they've become the second leading cause of death nationwide among people ages 10 to 24. The situation hit home this fall when 2 young students in Montezuma County took their lives, triggering a lot of questions about mental health services. Finch said the Dolores community was flooded with 42 therapists and counselors and psychiatrists in the weeks after a Dolores student took her life in November. At the community forum and dinner, 50 concerned parents learned how the school addresses mental health issues and discussed their concerns. Risk factors can include family history of suicide, substance abuse, stress, access to firearms, a recent tragedy, history of trauma, bullying, chronic medical illness and discrimination, sustained depression, alcohol or drug use, withdrawing, reckless behavior, giving away prized possessions, or visiting or calling people to say goodbye are all warning signs. Dolores schools have several counselors, policies, and programs to address mental health issues. To prevent bullying, every student takes a class twice per year about bullying and where to report it and what to do if you are a bystander. Incidents of bullying are investigated and behavior issues addressed with students, teachers, and parents. Improving mental health skills through physiology is effective. For example, a program called BrainWise teaches kids they can control their emotions based on the thoughts they have. Negative attitudes and stress can trigger a release of the steroidal hormone, cortisone, into the bloodstream, causing stress and increased heart rates. Intervention plans are put in place for students suffering from mental health problems, then ramped up if the child is not improved. Beginning this school year, elementary school students will take a middle school survival class to learn where to go if they have a problem and how to advocate for themselves. Parents and school principals said the prevalence of social media is adding to mental health issues. Officials urged parents and students to report incidences of bullying or talk of suicide. Safe to Tell allows anonymous reports that are relayed to school officials. Call 877-542-7233 or go to safetotell.org.
According to the Cortez Journal, United Search and Rescue of Montezuma County Sheriff's Office and Canine Search and Rescue of Dolores have been busy with trainings and actual missions. On November 11th, the teams were put on standby for possible call-out to search for missing hunters in the Stoner area. The hunters were able to walk out on their own and were in good condition. On November 15th, the teams were put on standby again for overdue parties who were looking for equipment from the previous missing hunters. The United Search and Rescue and canine teams responded the morning of November 16th. Teams were deployed into the field to start tracking the overdue individuals from their last seen point at the Stoner Creek and Colorado Highway 145. Dolores County Sheriff was on scene as well and helped facilitate a search helicopter from Durango. With this helicopter overhead and the ground teams, the subjects were located and returned back to their vehicles with no incidents or injury. On November 19th, the teams did a joint training search and rescue exercise at Goodman Point. There was both the USAR and canine teams, as well as Civil Air Patrol and St. Anthony's Flight for Life helicopter from Durango. This training exercise including 29 local search and rescue personnel in attendance. On November 21st, USAR was called out for 2 overdue teenagers from Durango who were camping up on the Gold Run area above Transfer Campground when they were surprised by the amount of snow that fell that evening. Their vehicle got stuck in the deep snow and was unable to return on their own. One teenager was able to walk to cell phone coverage and call his parents, who then called for help from Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. Several USAR team members were able to make it to the second teenager, who was found walking down the road. Both subjects were transported out with no medical conditions. On November 21st, USAR was called out again that evening for an overdue hiker near Trail Canyon. This subject returned back to their residence just as teams were ready to deploy into the field to start searching. United Search and Rescue Team, as well as K-9 team, just wanted to thank everyone in our community who helped support the local search and rescue groups.
An archaeologist at Crow Canyon Archaeological Center will be featured in the upcoming National Geographic documentary series, according to Crow Canyon's website. Kyle Baczynski, who is Crow Canyon's director of sponsored projects, participated in filming for an episode of Origins, a series based on the origins of humans. The 8-episode series will air on the National Geographic Channel sometime next year. Baczynski discussed the Longhouse ruins at Mesa Verde National Park as an example of how Native Americans were resourceful in building structures centuries ago. Mesa Verde Interpretive Ranger David Night Eagle will also be featured in the episode, discussing how farmers constructed dwellings and grew crops 800 years ago in the park area, according to Crow Canyon. Crow Canyon recently announced they will be releasing what is called their Occasional Papers digitally. It's a 5-volume series published by the center since 1995. According to their website, they're starting with the Sand Canyon Archaeological Project site testing report from 1999. These papers will be posted online for free download or searchable PDFs. For more information on all the projects at Crow Canyon, visit them online at crowcanyon.org.
According to the Cortez Journal, 2 experienced chefs have moved from Arizona to set up shop in Mancos. Executive chef Stephen Maywalt and Rebecca Johnson have started Mancos House on Riverside at 643 Riverside Avenue. They are offering a variety of food services from home-cooked meals to cooking classes. "We have a lot to offer," Johnson said. "It was time for us to settle down and be somewhere smaller." Johnson traveled around the world from Japan to Italy learning cooking techniques and recipes. Maywalt was a corporate chef for many years. They traveled all around the West trying to find a place to relocate before settling to Mancos. Maywalt and Johnson don't have plans to open up a restaurant, they said. Instead, they are crafting home-cooked meals at their home. People can order meals online through a service called Josephine and then pick up the meal at the house. Current meals Maywalt and Johnson are planning include Italian, Sunday brunch, and pho, a Vietnamese noodle dish. Maywalt said they craft almost everything from scratch and can cook to suit any dietary needs. After spending many years in the corporate world, they are excited to scale down, he said. Their goal is, as personal chefs, is to focus on relationships with their customers, he said. And now, here's our weather report.
This morning, just around sunrise, and for the first 2 hours after it, was cold, windy, and clouds were heaped up on the east side of the Blue Mountains. I was thinking if we don't see that stuff disappear soon, then we're not going to meet yesterday's hopes for tonight's lowest temps of the season to stay to our north and northeast and stay above the threatened 0 that was on the charts until today. However, the latest from the National Weather Service is that they are sticking to their guns, so I will too. Tonight will be as cold as we've had, but it will still be between 10 and 15 degrees in southeast Utah, and hopefully be near that here in Dove Creek country. That is the closest geographical input offered by them for now. Tomorrow, clouds will increase during the day and offset the warming a bit for Thursday. There also will likely be some light snowfall over the northern and central mountains, maybe 1 inch on the highest ridges and peaks. This will begin Thursday evening and be on and off through Saturday night and into Sunday morning. As for early next week, there is a westerly flow developing coming off the Pacific, and the National Weather Service says it has the possibility of becoming what they call an atmospheric river event. So if you're contemplating travel in the west next week, you will want to watch for updates over the weekend. If this happens and hits our area, such a thing as that heavy snow we had last December could be in the making. Fascinating. Could be fizzle or dazzle. We'll watch and see by Monday. Deep low pressure north of the Great Lakes will slowly move northeastward to east of James Bay by evening, making snow over parts of the northern plains and upper Great Lakes through Thursday, ending over the northern plains and upper Mississippi Valley tomorrow afternoon and evening. The low will pass just north of the Keweenaw Peninsula on Wednesday, producing heavy snow over that region of the Great Lakes. The lake effect enhanced snow will move into the lower Great Lakes tomorrow morning and into the evening. A front extending from the lower Great Lakes and northern Appalachians southward to the southeast will move eastward off the east coast by morning. Higher elevation snow and rain will develop over parts of the central Appalachians and lower Great Lakes to the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic and wind down overnight Wednesday. Snow over parts of the Great Basin, the central high plains, will end this evening. The jet stream will aid in the rain over parts of the western Gulf overnight. This will expand into the lower Mississippi Valley and southern plains tomorrow, retreating to the southern tip of Texas by evening. Showers and thunderstorms over Florida will continue into tomorrow evening. For the eastern Pacific, moisture will be arriving now in California, causing rain and higher elevation snow, and will expand into parts of the Pacific Northwest overnight and into tomorrow. Some of this will be freezing rain over interior parts of northern California and the Pacific Northwest Thursday morning and evening as well. In the 5-day chart, we see mid-30s to mid-40s for highs during the day, with lows from the mid-teens to the lower 20s, and of course some clouds will be moving through with possible light flurries in those higher elevations. Now back to the news.
According to the Cortez Journal, the Mancos Valley Historical Society will host its third annual open house and socials Saturday at the Buer House in downtown Mancos from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a thank you to the community for the support, and everyone is invited, said Society President Linda Simmons. Each year, the Historical Society hosts the social at a different historical building in Mancos. Coffee, wine, and snacks will be provided, as well as entertainment from local musicians. Historical Society members also will provide information about the building at the social, Simmons said. The Buer House was built in 1896 by George Buer, who was the first mayor of Mancos. In 1919, a doctor purchased it and converted it into a hospital. This year, the social coincides with the final Mancos Valley Chorus holiday concert, which starts earlier that afternoon. People can go to the social from the concert after it ends. Also, a caroling wagon will be making the rounds in town with a stop at the Buer House. People attending the social can hitch a ride on the wagon to do some caroling.
A few facts to sound the alarm bells in the minds of honest analytical thinkers. Montana National Glacier Park had 150 glaciers in 1910 and now has 25. Sea levels have risen about 7 inches in the last 100 years, which is more than the previous 2,000 years combined. Around 100 million people live within 3 feet of sea level, rising their direction. On December 10th, 1967, Project Gasbuggy went ahead with a 29 kiloton nuclear explosion deep underground in northwestern New Mexico. We don't wonder where that is, or do we? Or why radon gas and uranium mill tailings need cleanup, or what was in the way of pollution clouds. What was it that astronauts saw from the moon over the Four Corners? Or why the largest methane gas bubble in the atmosphere over the entire country is here? Or why CO2 wells have such caustic and corrosive stuff in the product? Oops, back to Gasbuggy. The blast released natural gas, but the gas was radioactive. The area is still regularly monitored for radioactive contamination. Today, natural gas trapped below the Earth's surface is often extracted through fracking, which breaks up rock using pressurized fluid nowadays. Though less extreme, potential links to drinking water contamination and earthquakes has stoked fears about the technique. And just in case you were unaware, dirty water associated with drilling for fossil fuel products has always had radioactivity problems. And the wastewater process of deep injection wells is not just due to mineral dirtiness, but also the radioactive particles that tend to be trapped in certain ingredients in that water.
According to the Cortez Journal, Cortez Middle School's elective showcase next week will feature all the school's elective classes from industrial tech to jazz band. The event takes place Tuesday, December 13th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the CMS Gymnasium. In the second hour, the jazz band and choir will perform musical selections. Before the performance, the other elective classes will have materials on display that showcase what they have worked on during the fall semester. These classes include art, drama, industrial tech, family and consumer science, agriculture, Navajo culture, and physical education. It's a chance for all the electives to show what they do, band director Andrew Campo said. This will be the 7th year CMS has put on the elective showcase. The band and choir program will feature holiday music and other tunes, including a combined performance of Jingle Bell Rock, he said. Industrial tech students will show off their engineering projects from the semester, including bridges, windmills, and battery-operated cars, teacher Carrie Musto said. Drama teacher Angela Garibaldi said theater will display photos and set pieces from their shows. Art teacher Caitlin Engelhart said 2- and 3-dimensional art from students in all grades will be on display. The projects are inspired by classical artists as well as modern artists such as Chuck Close and Dale Chihuly, she said.
This story is from the Durango Herald. When Z. Corcoran went on the back deck of her home in Forest Lakes the day after Thanksgiving to find a bear had broken into a small refrigerator and polished off a tray of leftovers and took liberties with a stash of wine and beer. He drank a big portion of my boxed wine, punctured who knows how many beer cans, and I was not happy, she said. You could see tracks of him leaving, and they weren't very straight. Corcoran, who lives about 20 miles northeast of Durango, said she usually keeps trash and other bear attractants locked up in the garage. Since she moved to her home in 2001, she's never had a bear take anything off the deck. Though Corcoran's encounter happened in late November, additional reports from residents in Forest Lakes indicates bear activity in La Plata County has once again pushed into December. While not an unusual occurrence, Brian Peterson of BearSmart Durango said bears heading to dens later than usual is a trend that wildlife managers are keeping an eye on. Maybe it's getting warmer. And there's no mystery as to why bears, more often than not, males, are foregoing the long sleep for winter romps. The longer they keep finding food, the longer they'll stay out. Peterson said, it's so simple, if we quit providing them with access to human food, they will go to sleep. A common misconception is that bears hibernate, a state when animals' heart rate and body temperatures drop dramatically, which turns down their metabolism to save energy through winter when food supplies are short. Black bears, though, go into what's known as torpor. Like hibernation, metabolism, heart rate, and body temperatures all drop, but not to such an extreme level where the animal can't or doesn't wake up. And if food is accessible, there's no reason for bears to outlast the winter huddled up in a den, said John Beckman, a wildlife ecologist with the Wildlife Conservation Society. The whole reason they go into dens is because of a lack of food, said Beckman, who works in the Lake Tahoe region on the California-Nevada line in Sierra Nevada mountains. The issue is especially of concern in Lake Tahoe. There, a number of bears have completely forgone denning in favor of marauding the usual food sources left by humans, namely garbage. Lackey dispelled the notion warmer temperatures are to blame. He said even in the years of heavy snow, bears can be found where there is trash. However, through 20 years of educating the public and living with bears, Beckman said The problem has slightly improved, yet just as important in that process, he said, is the enforcement aspect. Only 60% of residents on the north end of town and 35% on the south end of town were in compliance. Reducing human-bear conflict will only come from residents proactively changing their behavior in not allowing bears access to human foods, or by behavioral change being required by those with the ability to demand as much, Peterson said. Heather Johnson, a wildlife researcher with CPW, said a specific study on how human development influences bear denning in Durango will be published this winter, with preliminary evidence suggesting humans are affecting the animal's natural process. She said the study is limited because only female bears are collared, and they den reliably around October the 20th. In the meantime, Johnson suggested residents keep bird feeders down and food locked up until January. She said at least until all the stragglers go to bed.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of November 28th through December 4th. A deputy responded to a vacant residence on a report of subjects possibly living at the residence. Upon investigation, it was found no one had been living there. There have been many slide-offs and stuck vehicles with the snowstorm. An officer responded to a request for a civil standby in Cajon. A deputy discovered a stop sign was run over at Highway 491 and Colorado Street. Dispatch paged the Dove Creek Fire Department to a chimney fire in Cajon. Quick response kept the fire from spreading to the home. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates. Correct a typo that I had in the teleprompter earlier. This show has been live on Wednesday and will be rebroadcast on Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. We are live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m. each day, respectively.
Share this with a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube and now featured on the Facebook page. Thank you for liking us there and for your comments. We love to hear your voice.
For Jerry Tope and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.